This week, Karen and I are talking about how to connect with your guides, as in your spirit team. Plus, we're sharing our download from our guides this week, which we hope will help you navigate this crazy May energy. And we're talking about truth, how to be true to yourself and to others. We hope you find nuggets that will lead you to feel more fulfilled, supported, and ready to face each day. So each week we do these downloads, and every week we get different messages. However, there's definitely a thread, wouldn't you say, between all of them,
Yeah.
Karen?
Yeah. And I think for us, it's going in with that openness that no matter what we get is what we're supposed to get. I think for me this week, I always set the intention for it being, we both do. We set the intention for this being in everybody's highest good. Mine this week was very much about me, although I'll share it because I think a lot of us ask similar questions and maybe sometimes feel like they don't have a guide or they don't really know how to recognize the voice of a guide as they're doing a meditation.
When you mean guides, you mean spirit guides? Just for people listening.
Yeah. It's a great point because I think a lot of people bring up, listen to your angels and guides or call upon your angels and guides. And so many people that we talk to who are healers, practitioners, call upon specific people by name and have names for the guys or have their guides tell them their name. And we were talking the other day and I said, I just don't feel like I have one right now. And so I think I was kind of calling in my intention for, well, what is that? I think there's a common thread and a lot of people who are listening to this might relate. So for me, I mean, just really quickly, and then I think Robin, yours was so good in giving sort of that universal guidance, but mine was so specific around questions and not feeling like I have a guide very often. And how do I ask for one? How does one connect with that person? And so I started my meditation with some very specific questions on things specific to me. And I had this cute young guy just show up, and his name was Jason, of all things, a very common name, and was just sitting with me literally on the beach answering questions or helping me almost answer my own questions, which I think is what a guide probably does. Just reflect back at you things that you already know, which is kind of what happened in my experience. And yet there's a wisdom that comes from them that I know is not from my own self, or maybe it is my air quotes higher self. That's what they help us channel into. And so I got that, and it was really fun. Actually, it felt like a conversation. So that was very affirming to me. So I'm just offering my experience up as if you're out there kind of with a similar experience of not feeling like you have that connection with an angel or guide, it can be easier than you think if you just allow yourself to ask some really basic questions and kind of go with it. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we recently had a conversation with someone that we're going to have on the podcast that really focuses on guides. So I know we're both really interested to see what she ends up having to say. So that'll be coming up in the next month. But I love that that just happened to you. That was so unexpected, honestly, because we really did set the mission and intention to receive wisdom for everyone. And sometimes that's just not what's supposed to happen. So I love how clear it was for you.
It was. And that's the thing I would love to encourage everybody to do too, is if you do take the time, we set the timer literally for 10 minutes and just allow yourself to have that movie unfold, however it unfolds for you.
Exactly.
Participate in it by all means, but allow it to unfold, and no matter what direction it takes you, it can be very surprising, but can also be really affirming, even if it's just affirming your own beliefs or your own instincts or your own intuition about something.
Yeah.
So,
and trust it. And actually that came up in my download for this week. So when we set the intention for me this week, I was taken to a very different place than I'm typically taken. I felt like I was somewhere in Asia and I was walking barefoot down a dirt road. And I kept hearing, let us guide you. So I know I was with others and I was focused on my bare feet on the road and that coming together of the foot and the dirt road. And I heard very clearly there's a coming together. And the idea is to be authentically who you are with your feet planted on the ground, because it may feel topsy-turvy or upside down. And for everyone listening, this is for that week of May 16th. And I heard again, it's a coming together of all that we know to carry you through, because transformation is a upon us, and we must decide to fully be ourselves or not. And if we decide not to fully be ourselves, then we will stay in a cycle that may be most unpleasant, which I thought was really interesting. And I'm just writing all this down. So I didn't think about this until after. And then I heard, unlock the wisdom within you and acknowledge the wisdom all around you that is within others. At the core, we want to help one another because it helps us all. We are connected through time, through space, through dimensions. It takes a lot to trust. It takes a lot to trust that we are connected because we are not shown in our day-to-day reality. Love is key. Love is constant like the sun if you look for it. And you can choose to love yourself. Be kind. See moving forward on your path. Don't look back. Trust. Don't question. You are never alone. The future is bright. Healing comes by trusting and moving forward. You are guided and supported. So that's what came through. And I think what we started out saying today is that there are kind of these messages that come up every single week. Love, you are guided and supported. You are never alone. This week I thought was interesting because it was definitely very much like next week might be a little topsy-turvy. I thought that was an interesting term that I don't typically use.
I wrote that down because I've never heard you say topsy.
No, that's definitely not me. It's not my language. So I think knowing that there's a huge eclipse coming on Sunday into Monday, and knowing that eclipses are kind of magnified full moons. This is a lunar eclipse. So something will be revealed, and it may feel like it comes out of nowhere. There are these kind of markers in our lives within a year, within a month, that are meant to be more transformative than others. And it's not like there are many eclipses within a year. There are several. And we've just had a partial solar eclipse 2 weeks ago. And now we're having this lunar eclipse, which is also coincides with the full moon.
Which I think is the reason why the topsy-turvy feeling, because if you're having all of this planetary influence that's going on, yes, it's going to make you feel that. I think another thing that we talked about, because I love the fact that you brought up, when you do these, if you do any kind of daily writing, which we both do in the morning, is like write down kind of what we're given. Sometimes it can be frustrating because you can feel like you're getting sort of the same messages over and over again, which I'm sure if our angels and guides could talk to us, they'll be like, yes, because we're trying to get through to you, that we're really here and we really want you to hear us. But I think there can be that feeling sometimes like, gosh, give me something tangible, give me something specific for me to be able to action that. And I think if we're feeling this topsy-turvy energy that's coming from the planets that are always influencing us, there are things that we can do, right, to reground. We can charge up our crystals. We can set an intention for something specific to come through. We can ask for that in terms of an inspiration, right? Or call out of the blue from somebody that we need to hear from. It's like hearing this energetically and knowing it's happening, but then also trying to put some actions and intentions out there so that it can trigger an understanding. Versus sometimes we were just talking before we started taping about, are we just tapping into this universal energy? And is it redundant in that sense? Or how do we pull out for us that personal information that we need to affirm our own soul experience? And that can be challenging.
Yes, there are these universal messages that come up every week. And yet sometimes some are more highlighted than others. In this week, trust, I feel like, was really highlighted. Trust. It's what I'm just inferring. It's going to be okay, but go with it. Don't resist it, because what we resist persists. And I feel like that idea of what came through, be yourself. And if you're not fully yourself, acknowledge it. And being yourself may feel even a little uncomfortable to you because you don't allow yourself to fully have your emotion shown or vulnerable. Exactly. Being fully vulnerable, both to yourself and to others. It may feel uncomfortable at first, But I think very quickly we're going to see changes. If you're not fully yourself and you continue to kind of keep a wall up, you're going to keep hitting the wall. And so I think what you just talked about, this energy of next week is an invitation. It's an invitation for change. And that change ultimately is going to be for your highest good and the highest good of everybody else around. We can all lift each other up so we can continue to grow on this journey.
The fully being ourselves idea is challenging too, isn't it? Because we're so taught to be people pleasers. We're taught to say things that won't hurt anybody's feelings. That I know that's definitely something I always struggle with. And it was funny, what you just said triggered me, because in my little meditative moment, I had this thought about what would it be like to remember the movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey? And I always remember watching that movie and just sort of grimacing because he was forced to be so honest and to not lie. And I just wonder, what would it be like, not that we would have to verbally like do that with other people, but if we could just like catch ourselves literally in the course of a day and see how many times that we're not fully being ourselves.
Yes.
Times are we like saying something to somebody because we want them to like us, or we don't want them to get upset, or we're trying to be adverse to any kind of conflict, or just because it takes too much energy to fight about it or disagree or to assert our, maybe even within our own highest good. It's easier to help others than it can be to really be that fully honest self. And I just think it would be a fun exercise to try to catch yourself, or to try to recognize those moments when you're not being true to yourself. You're not saying what you really feel. You're not really being who you are.
I think that's a really good challenge to give everybody,
right?
Including ourselves, this upcoming week.
I'm thinking about my son, who he almost always tells the truth because he values himself and his truth over everything else. And it's something that drives me a little bit crazy because I'm like, gosh, can't you just say something I want to hear for a change? But what I've noticed about what he does, and because he honors that, the law of attraction works really well for him, because there's nothing in his energy that's preventing him from getting what he is attracting or what he wants. And I just wonder, I think all of us tend to be brought up really thinking that we need to say the right thing so we don't hurt. We're so trained. I mean, if we really looked at those layers on ourselves, if they could be things that could be visible upon us, I think we would be horrified how trained we are not to really speak our truth. But I think if we could take a moment and really think about doing that more, I wonder how our energy would shift. I wonder how our point of attraction would shift. I wonder how our life compass could be better really attached to what we're here to do, because we're not so busy trying to carry everybody else's stuff, because we're not being fully who we are.
Yeah, I love what you just said using Graham. And I feel like this visualization of our feet on the ground and staying grounded to this earth, being ourselves, being our truth, trust that as there's a connectedness to truth and the earth and moving forward. There's something to that as well.
I think that's really, really true. I think it would be a really fun exercise for us to try. And I love to, with these eclipses and full moons even, I know with almost everybody that we've ever talked to, there's always this thing inside of us. There's at least one thing that we're squishing about ourselves, something that either we know we should be doing, or something about our lives that need to be altered, changed, something that's challenging us, but that we're squishing it down because we just don't want to do the work. And maybe that's something that we could focus on. Use this time to set that intention. Like, maybe I don't even know exactly what it is, but I can feel that there's something in there that needs to shift. Show me what that is. Ask for that to come to life, and to really be able to recognize and honor that part of yourself. Because you and I both know that's the thing that we need to do. That's the place we need to grow. So maybe that's an opportunity for us to not go the whole liar, but to try to just start experimenting in these areas of like, where am I not being truthful?
Catch yourself. Yeah, catch yourself. I think between that, as well as also also asking whether it's for a sign or who your guide is. I think those are actually really important to-dos for everybody listening. I'm excited to actually try this myself. We've talked about this when it comes to guides. I actually do talk to several, but we all have so many. And now I'm actually interested to see who else comes, or if I can see them even more vividly, like you just saw this Jason. I'm really interested to see what comes. So I feel like between really honoring who we really are and trying to be truthful, as well as asking for some guidance, that should help us all get through this eclipse, which we really had a very interesting few weeks and month, because we also have Mercury in retrograde that happened last week on May 10th. So by the time this is posted, the eclipse will have just happened. I think it will be really interesting to see if all of this can help with the really powerful energy that we're all going to feel over this next week. So let us know. We want to hear from you.
And if you do the liar thing, let us know how that goes too. That would
please let us know. We are so curious. And how many times do you catch yourself? Honestly, keep a little tally.
Thank you, angels and guides, on those great insights.
And thanks to everybody listening.